Now in this video, I want to share a story and a moment which got me into taking this leap of faith of quitting my job and starting over at 40. Well, close to my 40 at least. You see, this story is very personal to me, and just a heads up, there are even some unpleasant photos which I have never shown anyone except for those who are close to me. And this is a challenge from my mom, who asked me to share this story on my channel in the hopes that it will resonate with someone who is watching. Now, starting over at 40 is scary. It's actually terrifying. I know this because I went through it myself. See, I'm 39 this year, coming into my 40s. I had a great career, built an amazing team, traveled the world, met some incredible people, a good salary, stability and achievement and all. But inside, I felt empty and stuck. Every day I walked into the same office I had for years, doing the same thing over and over again. I just felt like I was going through the motions. And sometimes I wonder, what's out there? What if I'm doing something completely different? What if I don't need to walk into this office anymore? Am I actually happy? And things were going really well for me until 2 years ago. Life threw me into a couple of unfortunate events. Family issues, financial issues, stress, anxiety, but there was one incident that really changed everything for me. Now, I just came back from a back-to-back business trip and I was completely exhausted. But instead of resting and recovering from the jet lag, I immediately attended some events, had some meetings, went and played golf, and even had to drive out of town for a family wedding. And it was a one-week event where I was driving day and night, early in the morning, fetching relatives back and forth from the hotel to various venues. I was beyond exhausted by the end of the week. So on the last night, before me and my wife head back home the next day, we were chilling in the living room and having some chit-chat with the cousins. I had a glass of whiskey, and 2 hours later, I was feeling a little woozy. So I thought I was tired and sleepy, and I decided to call it a night. So I stood up from the sofa, walked to the toilet, pee, and the next thing I knew, I passed out while I was coming out from the toilet. I collapsed and my face planted straight onto the floor. Bam! And that thought still gives me chills down my spine till this day. And when I opened my eyes, like almost a minute later, I saw my wife and all her cousins was crying and shouting at me. And I instantly knew that this wasn't good. I sat up and I saw blood everywhere. On my face, on my hands, on the floor. I was in shock because I saw a bunch of my tooth was broken. I felt like there's a split below my chin and my lips has been severely cut, and I felt there was a fracture on my jaw and my nose. I wasn't sure what was the damage at that time because I was in shock and pain. I even pulled out one of my tooth which was hanging from my gum with my own hands. It was gory. Now, instead of calling for an ambulance, we called a Grab. It's just like Uber if you guys don't know. Don't ask me why we didn't call an ambulance, and I was rushed to the hospital. But for some reason, the first 3 hospitals turned us away as there was no available doctors at that time to handle my situation because I think it was close to midnight. I was bleeding, in pain, and still couldn't believe what was happening. And finally, at the 4th hospital, they admitted me. They cleaned me up, gave me a jab of painkiller, and I was checked into the room. Now, while I was laying down in the hospital bed, I told my wife to head back to the hotel, rest up, pack, and come back again tomorrow morning, and that I would be fine alone. And after she'd left, I took the courage and walked to the bathroom mirror to look at myself for the first time. And when I finally saw myself in the mirror, I was horrified. I thought, this is it. This is my face now, and I had to live with it for the rest of my life. Now, I didn't have any photo during the incident because taking photo was the last thing on my mind, but this is a photo 2 days after the surgery. And if you can see, my face was extremely swollen due to the broken jaw, my nose and cheekbone was fractured, a broken 4 of my front tooth and 1 tooth at the back, had a slit in my chin, and a big laceration below my lips. That was true and true puncture right into my inner of my mouth, and my lips was literally just dangling. And the next day, the doctor came to my room to assess my situation, and after a couple of discussion, he decided to send me to the 5th hospital, which is reckoned there was a good surgeon there. Reluctantly, I dragged myself to the 5th hospital with every bit of energy I've left in my body. Wearing the same t-shirt filled with blood, I reached the hospital and gone through a couple of procedures and paperworks when my list was literally still hanging there, and I finally met the surgeon. And when I sat on the doctor's chair, I urged the doctor to please send me to the operation room and fix me up ASAP because I was really exhausted, in pain, and I was worried for infection because my wound was literally untreated for 18 hours. And finally, I was taken into surgery and I was put to sleep. And when I woke up, my mouth was wired shut with an arch bar and rubber band tied around it to hold my jaw in place. It was really tight, like someone has put a clamp on my mouth, and it was really uncomfortable. And that was to keep my jaw in place to let the bone heal for a month at least. So for the whole month, I couldn't eat anything solid, just sucking liquid, and I could not open my mouth or speak properly. And let me tell you, that was the worst experience in my life so far. But that wasn't even the worst part. Insurance wouldn't cover things like dental implants or other dental surgeries. And on top of that, I was already dealing with other financial burdens and debts. I felt hopeless, depressed, and even broke down a couple of times in front of my wife. So for the next 2 weeks, I just sat there with my thoughts thinking, why did this happen to me? Why now? What did I do wrong to deserve this? But then something changed. I heard that a distant friend of mine has gotten into a motorcycle accident. He became paralyzed from the neck down, and there's a high chance that he might be bedridden for life. I felt extremely sad for him, as I think that that's the worst thing that could have happened to anyone, even worse than death itself. Any dreams or hope of his has been taken away from him in an instant, and there's nothing that he can do to reverse that. And the worst, the life of his family, his wife and his children will be changed forever too, and life will be extremely tough for them. And suddenly, my problems didn't seem so big anymore. That's when I realized that things could have been so much worse. At least I could still move, at least I could still recover, and that's when it hits me. I've been so caught up in all my struggles that I forgot to be grateful. I took so many things for granted. I had another chance to rebuild, another chance to live. And this is where everything started to shift for me. When I stopped focusing on what I have lost and started appreciating on what I still have, my mindset changed. I was still alive. I had people who cared about me. My family, my wife, my friends, my colleagues gave me so much support. And thanks to them, I had the ability to get back up and keep going. I felt grateful. And that was the key to finding my happiness and hope once again. Now, a lot of us think that happiness is something that we achieve once we hit our goal. A dream job, a successful business, a big house. But happiness isn't a destination. It's the journey. It's the small moment, the daily win, the lessons we learn along the way. And my mindset started to shift. I started to think about life in a different way. So while I was still recovering, I started to think, if life is this fragile, if it can change in an instant, then why am I holding back? Why am I afraid to take risks? I have already been given a second chance. Was I really going to waste it? And then, even with my jaw still wired shut, I started working out again after the doctor had given me the green light, getting my daily protein intake by sucking in 4 half-boiled eggs daily and some protein shake. I got back into my routine, did all I could to recover little by little. So in this photo, you can see that I've lost so much weight because I could only drink liquid food due to the arch bar locking down my jaw. And this is the thinnest that I've ever been. I couldn't even recognize myself. And after 1 month later, finally the arch bar was removed and I could open my mouth again. I was so happy, but only to realize that opening my mouth was extremely difficult. The pain was excruciating because my jaw was kind of immobile for almost a month. Now in this video, you can see me eating solid food for the first time after a month, but that was really painful. I couldn't open my mouth to bite the food. So I had to retrain my jaw muscles once again, going through a couple of exercises where I would jam 10 or 15 or more wooden sticks into my mouth to stretch out the muscle for at least 20 minutes, 3 times a day, and I can tell you that was really a torture. But I still pushed through the pain and continued with the exercise every day. And eventually the pain in my jaw began to subside and I started to gain flexibility on my jaw so I could slowly eat solid food once again. Now after the arch bar was removed from my mouth, I had to wear temporary dentures for a couple of months as I need to wait for my wounds to heal before I could actually do the implants for my front tooth. Now, wearing dentures was another huge adjustment which I had to make because it was really uncomfortable, it was very difficult to eat and chew, and also I felt really embarrassed because I never thought I'd be wearing dentures in my life, and here I am. And I started to push myself to work out hard and setting myself a goal to get back in shape. And week after week, I started to gain more weight and muscles. And after 6 months and many surgeries later, I was healing nicely and I finally got back on my feet. Fully recovered, looking better than ever, rebuilt my confidence and got back to work. But somehow, I wasn't at peace yet. Something inside me has changed. I started asking myself, if I continue on the same path, will I regret it when I'm older? And the answer was somehow a yes. Now I didn't make any decision immediately until a couple more incidents had happened throughout my career, which I won't talk about in this video, but it was something that made me see things clearer. It was like a light bulb moment for me. And that's when I knew I had to take the leap of faith. I had to start over no matter how scary it was. You see, I'm reaching 40 like next year, and I'm not getting any younger, and the longer I wait, the older I get, the less energy and drive I will have. So it's now or never. And 1 year later from the incident, I finally quit my job, left the comfort and the security that I've built for nearly 2 decades and started building something of my own. Now, I want to be clear that I did a lot of preparation in terms of financial and savings and what I wanted to do before deciding to quit. So make sure you understand your own situation and make plans before making any decision. Now, I won't lie to you, it's still scary even now. There are days when I doubt myself and I wondered if I make the right choice. I've talked about self-doubt in my previous video, so feel free to watch it if you haven't. But I remember what Alex Hormozi said. When you leave your old path and start on a new one, it will be extremely lonely in the beginning because you're leaving your old circle behind and all your colleagues are no longer in touch with you every day, and in the same time you have not built the credibility yet to blend into a new circle. So you're stuck in this limbo, working in isolation, building something until your work gets the recognition and you have something worthy enough to be accepted into a new circle. I couldn't agree more with him because that's exactly how I was feeling when I first started to go on my own. It has gotten better now, but the feeling of loneliness is still there sometimes. But here's the thing, I found purpose in life again. Even though it's hard, I wake up excited to start the day and to do the things that I love. Because now I know that I'm on this path that's truly mattered to me. And most importantly, I always remind myself to be grateful every day and how fortunate I am to be given this second chance to start over. And when the going gets tough, I remind myself that there are people out there who's going through way worse than me. People dying in war, losing their families, infected with incurable disease, and my friend who might be bedridden for his whole life and his future taken away. And then there's me, worrying about some minor accident, starting over, taking risks, living a comfortable life. So, who am I to complain? And this mindset shift has been a game changer and has really given me a new perspective in life. So here's my final message. If you're feeling stuck, if you're afraid of starting over, remember this. Life is short. You don't know how much time you have left. So don't be afraid to take that leap because what's waiting for you on the other side might be even better than you have ever imagined. And above all, be grateful. Because gratitude is what will keep you moving forward, no matter how tough things get. Now remember what I said about finding happiness earlier in the video? And after all that's happened, I truly believe happiness is in the journey and not the destination. If you don't enjoy the journey that you're on anymore, why not change the destination so you could go on a new journey that will bring you joy and happiness? And remember, being grateful every day will keep you going on this journey and bring you peace. And that's the story of how gratitude gave me the courage to start over again at 40. Now, of course, don't just go and quit the job without any plans. Now, if you want to know more about what are the steps to take before taking the leap of faith and start over, check out this video here. And if this message resonates with you, let me know in the comments below. Have you ever been scared of starting over? And how did you push through? And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. And I'll see you guys in the next one. And until then, keep making a difference in life.